James Middleton shares how his sister helped him through his mental crisis.
And Meghan Markle goes head to head with Anna Wintour. Welcome to Heirs Spares, the show that dives into the fascinating world of two of the most recognized royal couples from both sides of the Atlantic. I'm Kinsey, Schofield, and I'll be bringing you updates on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle right here in sunny California.
And in a not-so-sunny UK, we've had some welcome rain. I'm Rupert Bell, and I'll be bringing you all the news on a busy time for the Prince and Princess of Wales as they now enjoy their half-term break with their children.
Rupert, you're right. It has been so busy for the Prince and Princess of Wales. How fun was it to see the princess all dolled up, smashing it? I spoke about it a little bit last week, but the visual of seeing her with this champagne bottle reminds me of a young Queen Elizabeth. And I love that. I love seeing her mimic these moments that we remember Queen Elizabeth so fondly for. Can you tell me about that engagement?
Yeah, I can. And I'm going to have to correct you. It was a bottle of whiskey.
Oh, excuse me.
It's okay. But it was HMS Glasgow they were smashing the whiskey on, but it was locally produced whiskey in the area again from a new, I think the distillery was founded in 2017. Now, these boats or these military vessels take some time to get built and commissioned. So I think that the symbolism there was that the whiskey was distilled in 2017. So it was quite a special moment. So it wasn't just any old bottle of champagne. Look, in days past, when bottles didn't smash and it wasn't quite so technically advanced, all I think she had to do this time was press a button and then whoop, up went the bottle, smashed into HMS Glasgow, who will now be part of the British Royal Navy going forward. But it was good. And actually, it's good to see her doing that sort of thing. She does understand what the military's about. She gets her role within, as colonel of regiments in the Navy, the RAF. She does understand the commitment that is required of her in these cases. And of course, William was there at the same time, and he obviously understands ships as well. So, it was a nice scene and good for Glasgow.
Absolutely. Well, there were some additional positive press for Catherine, although I doubt that it's something she would consider positive press as much as it's just her brother being sweet and gracious. But we heard from James Middleton about how the Princess of Wales, along with her sister Pippa and mother, were so important to him in his mental health journey, along with Ella. We never want to forget Ella the dog. But he spoke candidly over the weekend about his mental health issues in the past, dyslexia, ADD. He's also suffered from depression. And yeah, I think it's pretty courageous to not only discuss this, but also thank his supporters in the process.
And I think there's lots of lessons to be learnt there. Look, it's not been easy, but what it really reflects is how important his family have been to him, whether it be his mother, his sister, his sisters in this case have helped rally round. And obviously you mentioned the dog is important because that's been very instrumental and actually does show the wonderful positive effects dogs have on people. Because if you're lonely, having a dog around is like having another person.
And Prince William and Catherine
company.
just had puppies, so they've got plenty of dogs around. They just had
well, I don't know, running around their house at the moment, probably that's what they're concentrating on half term and cleaning up the mess that these puppies are making. So I think it is very important. And actually, it shows, that family can rally round. Now, I know we shouldn't be going straight into sort of Harry and Meghan and sort of flipping that on. But actually, when you look at, they talk about, his struggles and talk about Meghan's struggles at various times. Yet there was so much opportunity for support within the royal family who have been trumpeting mental health for a very long time. And I think James Middleton, by being so open about this, does help the cause because obviously he's in the spotlight by being the brother of the Princess of Wales. That gives him, by marriage, a certain notoriety. But it is important that he can use his vehicle to help people. And obviously, sounding what he's had to go through, various different dyslexia and other conditions as well, that he's had to fight his way through. And the fact that the Princess of Wales and his and Pippa as well are probably doing what most right-minded families should do anyway. Help your brother, because that's what families are about, and the importance of a family unit, if you get my drift.
Yeah, I want to make sure I clarify what you're saying, so nobody,
Yeah.
un, so no one assumes you're saying that the royal family didn't help them. I think what you're
Mm.
saying in the most delicate and sweet way is that James Middleton is almost giving testimony that the royal family is very generous and does step in.
Yeah.
Members, I should say, specific members of
Mm.
the royal family are very generous. There's a lot of empathy and compassion. But I just, you've seen Harry and Meghan, the way
Mm.
they've worked over the last few years. They're very secretive. They're very secretive people. I mean, even down to the mood boards that Meghan posts that have secret meanings behind them. I do give the royal family the benefit of the doubt in the Harry and Meghan situation. Harry and Meghan announced Archie's birth a significant, like 12 hours. I mean, I know I'm not getting the specific time correct, but hours after they were home, they were already back in Windsor and Archie was home. They're just very secretive in general. Prince Harry is supposed to give 28 days notice before he goes to the UK, but he intentionally doesn't. He just shows up in the UK. So I do believe that the royal family, had they known the extent, if all of these allegations are true, there would have been more done. But I feel like Harry and Meghan are incredibly secretive people.
Yep, and the fact is there is more help around, and we have seen. You saw Harry and William always trumpeting mental health issues. It wasn't an issue for them. There would have been people probably practically on speed dial if they needed help, because their privilege would have meant that they probably could have found a way of getting that help. But it is important that on the James Middleton side, it once again is a reflection that it's not just people out there, the professionals, helping people with mental health, the importance of what a family can do to making people get better, and the support and love of and the full family. And that is again a lesson for our friends in California, that you need that extended network, because that's what families are for. You are there as a support network to help you. Not necessarily, sometimes sometimes you might have to play hardball. Sometimes you've got to give the soft treatment. But whatever, a family is there to help, and I think that's more important from James Middleton's perspective. That's what I think he's highlighting, that he values, and the love that he got, and whether it was tough love, soft love, whatever it was, it worked and has made him a better person. And as a result, Pippa, they've obviously got Pippa's got small children. Princess of Wales has got her three children as well. So there's a lot going on in their own
And
world. But
James has got a baby.
yeah, so it is important, and that will have all been part of the positive recovery that he's gone through and able to get on with the rest of his life, and knowing that he's got a support network around, and I think that is something that we can all benefit from, even though they are obviously in a very privileged position and have everything around. But actually, the sort of micromanage it's an important lesson to us all.
I want to read you quotes from this piece from Sky News, My Week with Prince William, the Quiet Disruptor, and get your reaction to some of these quotes. Go ahead and have a sip of Diet Coke if you need to. You've been
Yeah.
preaching. We love it.
Yeah, I've been out in the garden all day today, so I've got gardening hands today, and so I've been planting my courgettes anyway, so I'm all good now. I've got a cup of lemon tea,
Oh, so
so
much
I've
more
gone very.
sophisticated. All right. Well, one thing that happened between the last time we spoke was Prince William and the Princess of Wales ending up on Time 100's list of the 100 greatest philanthropists currently. And the reason why they give William and Catherine this title is because they are modernizing the way that royals do charity. And you get some of that in this article where Sky News is documenting a week with Prince William. They call him the quiet disruptor. And it says the prince doesn't want to waste what he knows is a unique position to bring people together, start conversations, and support those who are already doing amazing things in their communities. That's such a simple explanation of what Prince William does. And it gives you like the full circle of why everything seems to work out. Everything is so streamlined, organized. And I think what's exciting about Prince William and Catherine is the fact that what they execute today in the last few years, it seems so tangible, whether it's the Earthshot Prize, whether it's working with communities, Homewards UK, whether you are seeing him truly in the community and introducing people within that community that can help each other and elevate each other.
I think this is sort of confirmation of what we already know in his modus operandi. Now he is the Prince of Wales and obviously the heir to the throne. He knows that he wants to make sure that the royal family don't just turn up an event, cut a ribbon, and then sugar off, and that's the end. What he wants to make sure happens is that if he is going to give up his time, that is actually something that, when he goes there, leaves a tangible mark, not aside from just a plaque on a wall. And I think that is to be commended. So that's why he's probably doing less, because what he's doing, he wants more success with those rather than being spread too thin. And I think it's a sensible way forward because, as you mentioned, the homelessness one, I mean, that is a ambitious project on any level. But if it is able to have some effect to lessen the horrendousness of homelessness, then you've got to say all fair play to him. Likewise with Earthshot, this is a huge initiative and it is commendable in its bold ambition, but I think that reflects what William wants to be part of now. Things that actually feel like they will make a difference, not just in the short term, but actually maybe 10 years down the road, some tangible effort. So I think this is a confirmation of what we've seen in recent years. And I think we've mentioned about it before, but this again just brings it into focus, his aims as the Prince of Wales.
Well, I thought that these were interesting quotes that lead us directly, in my opinion, into our next story. So the chief executive of the Diana Awards, now she's worked with William and Harry for over 20 years, told Sky News they would never do royal engagements from the sense of cutting the ribbon or simply being poster people. We were very, very clearly warned if we wanted any form of engagement, we needed a whole strategy behind it. She also says some nice things about Prince William, about how she always got a sense that he appreciated the responsibility that comes with his role, especially in a world where there's a massive demand on leadership. There's a lot of distrust on leaders. And she also stressed that their working diaries are now arranged around their children. They've made no secret of that. But when it comes to the strategy, insisting that there's a strategy, I immediately think about the random appearance by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in San Diego to cut the ribbon of a veterans center. And we're grateful for the Veterans Center, absolutely. But that is not in line with what the Diana Awards chief is saying, that there needs to be a huge strategy and there needs to be a little more meat behind it. And then talking about the synergy of everything Prince William does, how there's clearly an ultimate objective and all these things are working towards that. Well, let's talk about Harry and Meghan's very own royal court in Montecito, because it does seem the hard eye roll, because it does seem like they have set back and realized that a lot of the things that they have been trying to execute aren't working because they're half-assing it. But at the same time, this royal court, Rupert, is being built around their commercial pursuits. Archwell is still James Holt, I believe his name is. All these new 11 white people, thank you, Harry and Meghan, unconscious bias, that they've hired to run this Montecito royal court are, is it a royal court if your entire objective is self-promotion and celebrity and becoming a millionaire, billionaire, Meghan Markle?
I think it sounds like just an office with
Yeah.
employing people to make you work. You know, having a team of people. It's royal household. No, everything smacks of desperation with them at times. And this is another because while Meghan may be launching podcasts, TV programs, you name it, she's busy. Harry is rudderless and doesn't know what he wants. But the problem is they may be launching a new sort of streamlined office with clear aims as to what, you know, to try and stop the hemorrhaging from the bad PR that has been happening recently because, you know, nothing that they've really done has suddenly given them a feeling that's been a good PR moment for them. But the trouble is, Meghan doesn't listen to anybody.
Yeah.
She thinks she knows best. So, well, you know, she's may streamline it, but actually have the people who got there who are going to knock on the door and say, Meghan, no, we're going to do this. Will Meghan have the humility and realize, well, we've got to do something because it can't be right that everything is then turned around, mimicked in America. Forget just in the UK, they may not have the popularity. But what I'm seeing in the States, they're being mimicked and ridiculed. So therefore, you've got to look at it and say, these people within this household have got to have the cojones to basically tell them, right, we've got plenty of experience how to deal with high net worth individuals. Then just you listen to me. Now that is the challenge for the people working for them. And it is the challenge for Meghan and Harry to actually say, well, right, perhaps what we've done before hasn't, but their track record, you know, I'm not sure these leopards will change their spots. And so that may be the big trouble for them. So, yes, but Harry doesn't know what he wants to do. Let's
Well,
talk of him launching.
let's talk about that because let's go down some of these
Yeah.
highlights from this article one by one. Harry launching his own as yet undisclosed commercial venture in the next few months. I'm thinking it's something related to polo or something related to alcohol. You know, every celebrity here in LA has their own tequila, has their own whiskey, has their own rosé, and there is something about something chic relating to the royals and a bevy, you know, Princess Margaret, or
Yeah.
sometimes you do imagine a royal Camilla with a Queen Camilla with a cigarette and a drink in her hand. I mean, there is something relatable, and it just seems so low hanging fruit for Prince Harry to have. It's one of my favorite acting teams, Ian Somerhalder, Paul Wesley. They have a bourbon. You know,
Yeah,
there is that.
I got to give you a story. We're going to slightly digress. I can tell you a story about Princess Margaret. She definitely liked whiskey, and if you were stupid enough to offer her the wrong whiskey, you'd suddenly come back at you and go, wrong whiskey, and then some person would have to run off. And the Queen Mother, the late, you know, the Queen Mother, she loved Dubonnet. Now you're probably going, what's Dubonnet? But it was quite a fashionable drink,
But it was like
Dubonnet and
gasoline.
lemonade.
It was like gasoline, wasn't it?
Well, it was red. Well, it was sort of licoricey, but the Queen Mother, she loved Dubonnet and lemonade, so bitter lemon. And actually, it was probably one of the first drinks that I had when I was a young lad because it was fashionable in the 70s. I'm very old, but when we say young, we're anyway. I know the drinking rules are slightly different from the States. Okay, so I could drink before I was 21. So
It
so if
doesn't
you
matter. We
so
all do anyway over here. But
Oh,
yes,
well, I am fully aware there are a way, you know, it's strange rule. But anyway, that we digress. But yeah, if he is going to launch, you know, okay, there are successful wineries people are getting involved with, but you've actually got to put the harder yards in. I've got a friend actually who is launching, it's just planted, I don't know, say 50 odd acres for a vineyard. She knows that she won't be producing wine for 3 years, but she's got to give it a total commitment. And okay, she's got the facilities, and wine in Britain is something that's happening now. but if he's doing alcohol, what's he doing? Is or he's just going to lend his name?
Yeah, but I do
So
think that
I'm
that sounds about this
you what?
the length of his work ethic. Also, Tiggy, is it Pittifer now? Tiggy Legbook.
Yeah. Well, she was Legbook. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
Tiggy's family, I know, is in some way related to they have some sort of alcoholic beverage company, I
Oh,
believe, because I think that they sponsor my friend's polo, the maybe the Wales polo team. They're somehow associated
yeah.
with one of my friends who plays polo out there.
Well, they live in Wales
I think so.
as
I
well.
think so. By the way, she just to her stepson Ed, who passed away in New Orleans. They just put a beautiful display on their gate for him, and I didn't. I was surprised that that didn't get more press. Um, and I also will remind people until the day I am gone that the day he passed away is when Meghan Markle, who we believe Tiggy is Archie's godmother, is the day Meghan Markle returned to Instagram, frolicking in the sand, instead of being like William and Catherine, announcing a beautiful tribute to her stepson who passed
Well,
away in New Orleans.
I don't think I need to add anything.
Right? I mean, it just
It,
it defines this woman. It defines.
but 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 this is for Harry though. You know, Meghan is launches her as ever brand. And then has anything been restocked? I must admit, I'm not checking out the stocking. The sold out signs are still up. How long have the sold out signs been still up? I mean, that tells you that it was a sham launch. It must have
Right.
been
Right.
because
They say on the
sometimes,
Daily Mail article that there is one, they name one person specifically that's working on the production issues. The production there are, because it's never Meghan Markle's fault. It's always someone else's fault. So they say somebody's working on the back production issues. Do you have any other suggestions for Prince Harry? I guess when I say polo, I mean like maybe equipment. Maybe he attaches his name to some kind of
that's so niche. He's hardly going to make a fortune doing that.
yeah.
No, I mean polo. It's niche riding equipment. I mean, I know. I'm from my equestrian background. There are equestrian companies producing, saddles, reins, you name it, all out there, all bidding for the sort of high-end market. He'd just be another one. I don't. Again, if he's going to launch that kind of equipment, he's got to research it. Yes, he plays polo, but no, I would say not polo. It'd be interesting to know what his commercial venture is that he thinks he can suddenly make an absolute fortune. Is he just, but he's ultimately just riding off his name.
Right.
So he's got it. But anyone who launches something, you've got to believe in your product.
Well,
It doesn't matter
we
what
saw
it
the
is.
lack of that in the Polo docu-series, which we heard
Yeah.
Netflix was appalled that he did literally no media for. They were so disappointed by the fact that neither Harry or Meghan did any media or any promotion for the Polo docu-series. So there's a great example of Prince Harry lacking in the enthusiasm department and it hurting the product
Yeah.
immensely.
Well, let's be honest. He would have been trying to promote something that was a bit of a turkey anyway.
Really
You
thought you
know,
were going to say turd, and I was
yeah,
really
it was a load of anyway. I'm just going to not use every Anglo-Saxon description of what I thought of it, but it was ordinary. But he this is where you get the problem. Wants the publicity, doesn't want the publicity. Everyone does a rounds when they launch something. We saw it when Spare came out. You couldn't get enough of him. He
yeah.
was all over the shop. And so when he's
But
launching, if he's trying
he
to,
puts himself in jeopardy by talking to too many people, though, Rupert, because inevitably it's a numbers game. Inevitably, somebody with a camera is going to ask him a tough question. Somebody will have the guts to
well,
one day.
well, the trouble is they don't like the tough question,
Nope.
and that's not the you've got to, for they've got to put their head above the parapet. If he's convinced that he is by his rightness, then don't mind being asked questions. Politicians are being asked questions all the time. But this policy, and people may disagree. Take it on the chin, answer it, and then you probably might actually earn some respect for it.
Well,
But
I
otherwise, just
think he would be dishonest, allegedly. I think he
mm,
like it's unconscious bias. We never said they were racist. And then you
mm.
get the receipts, the montage of videos of them saying else, other thing, the opposite. And then Harry and Meghan get on TV and accuse you of online bullying, or their lawyer threatens you for online bullying. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry. I think this is actually just holding you accountable because you were dishonest in this moment. And here's proof that you said otherwise.
Well, I know, and this is the problem. They can't actually remember their own story. And this is the problem with Meghan. I mean, we get variations on a theme. And it is with Harry, they've got themselves into such a sort of blurred mess of not knowing what story is relevant because they've tried to control the narrative and always by playing the victim. And so, as you say, as ever, I'm sure it's not Meghan's fault in her eyes that, but if you're going to launch something, make sure you do have the product. Firms have complete, when you're launching something new, make sure there's enough stock.
Also,
Don't
like
just,
Rupert, I do this myself. Make
mm,
cute shirts that say as ever that are printed per purchase. It's better for the
mm,
environment anyway.
yeah,
You know what I mean? There are ways she could sell calendars that are printed per purchase. She could sell t-shirts, sweatshirts.
mm.
She could sell things that are created the second that somebody actually pays for them. She could have something tangible on that website right now to be shipped out. She I mean, it boggles the mind that they could be so irresponsible with this brand.
Well, and the point is, she's probably not. If she should be chasing up and the new royal household, or their royal household, needs to be chasing up the suppliers. But it is it, as organic. Where is it produced? Where is this? They should have been expecting, not say tens of thousands of jars of strawberry jam, but a mighty few should have been, because there's enough people out there who would have been curious enough and may have wanted to buy it, or the honey. But it's a saturated market. Everyone's, we've been talking about the alcohol side of things. People producing wine, gin, you name it, a whiskey, all sorts of things. It's a very competitive market, and unless you've got the marketing backing, and that you've got to play the long haul, then you must make sure your ducks are in a row right from the get-go. And in Meghan's case, this as ever brand with all the products she was supposed to be launched wasn't ready. And yet, it's still 2 months, feels like it's 2 months down the line. If there's nothing there, why do you expect your loyal fan base to keep wanting to go back and they go, oh, you're only creating disappointment
And
and frustration.
can I ask you from a serious, I mean, I have a
Yes.
serious question from you from a branding perspective. I think that people sympathize with Prince Harry. I think that people give Prince Harry a little more wiggle room, not only because we've known him since he was a child, but because he seems to be the charity focused individual in the relationship. He doesn't seem to be the one with dollar signs coming out of his eyeballs the way Meghan Markle is when she's sitting there with Jamie Kern Lima talking about, I work so hard. So
Mm.
we are always, we think, oh, he reminds us a little bit of his family still when we see him at royal engagements, when we see him supporting great causes like Well Child. However, if he shifts to this commercial pursuit, whether it's liquor or whatever it is, I think he risks totally alienating himself and looking as
Well,
greedy and as shameless as his wife does.
Well, he's got to try and do something. And if you look at the Tyndalls, who are non-working royals, daughter of Zara, daughter of the Princess Royal, and they go out and have commercial deals, and
Mhm.
they are, quite commercial. So it's not beyond the wit of man. But when that they should be that's their role model of how to do it. They're non-working royals. Yes, that Zara will be seen and within the family context, but that is how to do it. And you look at it and you think, why can't they That's where they need to set their mark. They've got deals seem to be coming out of that everywhere for the Tyndalls, and fair play to them. There's a lot of horses that need to be maintained. While still trying to be a competitive 3-day event rider. Obviously, his sporting days are behind him, but they are a very good example of non-working royals trying to earn a living and doing commercial business. So it is possible. He has now said, "I'm not in the royal family." The only trouble is his charity work seems to have been clouded in scandal, whether it be the African parks and the allegations about what happened to some of the rangers, Centre Barley crumbling around them because of the polo and he wanting better treatment of his wife. His charity work seems to have been disintegrating. So even that is looking vulnerable. He's got to find a way of doing something. And I don't begrudge him trying to find a commercial venture, but it's got to be something that he gets him there and he drives him to want to work and not just expect money to come a calling because I'm the Duke of Sussex and my name will immediately turn a profit. That's not how it works. You have to be seen, because if someone's going to buy, they've got to actually feel, the passion. All good products, are driven by passion, probably, or someone's drive and
That's
some
why we are not
belief.
buying the jam situation, Meghan Markle.
Yeah,
Listen to
or
Rupert.
well, it's sauce, isn't it? Rather than jam.
Fruit
So
spread, loose fruit
that
spread.
yeah, yes, well, nothing.
But when
Yes,
you
exactly.
mention Zara and Mike, it and I think you're absolutely right. They have perfected it. There's a very delicate way of continuing to respect the monarchy, respecting your relationship with the royal family, but also earning a living. They have not ever spoken out in a negative way against members of the British royal family. But I wonder sometimes when I sit back and I watch Prince Harry on the BBC. By the way, I've started enjoying Bill Simmons' podcast. Bill Simmons, who called Harry and Meghan effing grifters, and was talking about
Right.
how he has to get drunk one night and tell the story of Prince Harry's
Right.
pitches to him about a podcast. Um, you know, that to me, listening to Bill Simmons talk about Prince Harry and there is a hint at Prince Harry's lack of enthusiasm about it all in what Bill Simmons says when he's talking about his interaction with Prince Harry. But I think when I watch Prince Harry's BBC interview, does he really miss his family, or does he realize that access to them, like the Tyndalls, continues to help them monetize their lifestyle? Because
To some extent, I think what the problem for him is he I think deep down, when you're in the royal household, everything's done for you. It's easy. You don't have to worry about where the next buck is coming from because your program is worked out. Now, he might have felt that he was shackled by that, but actually, my goodness me, it's so much easier. It would have been because he hasn't got to now strive, worry about security, worry about anything, because it would have just been inbuilt. All he had to worry about is, well, what was he interested in? Well, his various charities. He could have been very proactive, tried to go the William route, which is, right, when we do something, we try and make a difference, and it's not just a bit of glad handing. Suddenly you realize that he's now in the big wide world, and he's suddenly thinking it's quite scary because the reality is if they're probably not making as much money as they would be like to think they are. And suddenly, they have an expensive lifestyle, given they don't live in the cheapest residency in the United States. So they've got that probably needs a lot of money. There are all the other issues that they've seemed to create around them. And then, whereas, for the Tyndalls are the role model because, again, with their security, they keep a very low profile. Yes, they obviously security is relevant, but they very much want to run their own life and just get on with it. And they've got small children and enjoy themselves. I'm not setting them up as some sort of
no,
icon,
oh.
but but if you look
But
at the role,
Zara is my fashion icon though.
well, she's doing extremely well. in that respect. And if you think the royal family has had got into, even the Duke of Edinburgh, the current Duke of Edinburgh, and his wife got into a few sort of commercial problems. Peter Phillips hasn't always managed to navigate. His Zara's brother hasn't always managed to navigate the sort of business world successfully, and getting themselves into PR problems. So it's not easy. And Harry has got to find a way that if he is going to launch something, it's not just, oh, that seems like a good idea. It's got to be something that he feels is a good idea
Oh,
and he can put his heart and soul to it because he's 40 and rudderless currently, and he needs something to drive his engine to give him a sense of purpose.
I
And the
have
royal family was
I have a suspicion you're going to be disappointed there, Rupert, in the next few months when we hear about Prince Harry's commercial venture. I think you're going to be like, there's no way his heart is into it. But you mentioned PR problems. Let's also read this from the article. Harry is said to have been growing increasingly weary. I just love the way this is written. Harry
yeah.
is said to have been growing increasingly weary of the negative publicity he and Meghan have attracted and is keen to rehabilitate their reputations after several damaging blows to their popularity and poll ratings. Rupert, I think you and I have lost count of how many times we've used the word rebrand in association with Harry and Meghan. So good luck. A royal household style structure will give them both a streamlined framework that has been missing since they left the royal family. It's about consistency, Rupert. Don't you think it's about consistency? Like this royal streamline they're talking about, it's simply consistency. What do you stand for? What is your ultimate objective? And are you doing something every day to inch towards that goal? We do not see that with these two.
No, we don't. And as we've mentioned, they've got to listen to their new team to help solve these negative problems that they're getting. You know, creating the drama around Centre Barley or other negative high moments that he's had recently. And obviously Meghan's programs and the backlash from some of that and the reaction from, people within the States and over here. They've got to listen, as we said. But that's going to be the real tester for them, because we know over the years they are convinced. Well, Meghan is convinced by her rightness, and Harry is obviously trying to bring his thoughts to the party, whatever they are, and they're not working. It's not working for them, and he's created because he's basically not standing up to his wife at times, it would seem. Um, and that's what he's got to wake up and say, right, I need to do these things on my terms. And then maybe I might be able to claw it way back, but he ultimately needs to shut up about popping at his family. That's got to be the first thing, because he's got to look like now he's done with the moaning, done with all the issues that have upset him. Now he's got to draw a line under it and then say, right, from here on in, it's the new me. It's the positive me. I'm going to get back to the kind of Harry that was very popular before Meghan was on the scene.
Uh, One of the quotes is that Harry is so unpopular. He has at last conceded there's nowhere to go but up. There's humility there. It's time to streamline his operation and find a new way of getting his message across. Service above oneself is the
Mhm.
cornerstone of everything he does. No, we're not seeing that. So it's important that they get that message across, because service above oneself is the way I would describe King Charles with cancer, who's on his way to Canada today. It's not the way I would describe Prince Harry, who, gets a ingrown toenail and disappears for a week to cry in his pillow. Really quickly, we should mention that over the weekend, Daily Mail reported that Meghan is getting a third season of With Love Meghan, because Ted Sarandos is absolutely smitten with her. Do you have a reaction to that?
Well, Netflix is a successful company. He obviously
They
sees
can afford a
something.
few, but they can afford a few duds.
Well, but he obviously thinks that there's some PR mileage to be had from it. Or, isn't the adage all publicity is good publicity?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe old Ted, describes her as a rock star.
Yes.
Well, fair play, but I mean, it's quite a brave shout, and presumably they've seen some of the stuff from the second. But where does she go from flower sprinkles? Yeah,
But
this
I,
is.
I have, I haven't. I said this on my channel last week, but I haven't talked about it much. I have a contact that works with Dolly Parton, and they told me that Meghan's team had reached out to Dolly, and Dolly said no, thank you. I mean, to me, they're still poisonous.
The problem is that was such a bad series. I know of course, some people may have liked it, but it was such, um, nothing. Again, you've got to look. I go Stanley Tucci's programs, right? Here he is, great actor, right? So we're looking someone with a showbiz background who's had his own problems, health issues, but he's still acting brilliantly. He was in, the story about the Pope, the film there, the name escapes me, but he was in that, and he's obviously done great films over the years. But his cooking programs, when he goes around Italy, you can feel it in his heart. He's loving tasting the Italian food and bringing that to the table. And that's you've got to look genuine. Of course, he can act and he's a brilliant actor, and there's a bit of showmanship. But ultimately, you care because he genuinely seems to be energized when he tastes some wonderful bit of ham cured for centuries in some vat in Rome. I don't know. I'm making it up a bit, but you know what I mean. And so that's where Meghan's program's got to look like. Why can't she try and say, right, that kind of passion and bring that soul if cooking is so important, instead of just sprinkling, elevating things with flour sprinkles? That is not going to buy themselves into the public. You've got to really look as if food, good cooking programs are about those. We watch them sort of knowing we can't do it,
Yeah.
but we watch them because you can feel the
Well,
chefs
it's
or
aspirational.
whoever it is. Yeah,
And that they said Megan's show was going to be aspirational, but like never in my life will
yeah,
I look at a manufacturer's plastic pretzel bag and say
yeah.
to elevate this, I think I'm going to put it in a regular plastic bag. I mean, I think that that is a little beneath
Yeah.
my
Well,
common sense level. Okay.
and and write a note, a
Yeah.
sort of nice note, because obviously she's got quite good handwriting.
Yeah.
Okay, big
Congratulations,
deal.
girlfriend.
Big
That's my favorite.
congratulations.
If somebody asked me to say something nice about you, it would be that your handwriting is the bomb. That's where it begins and that's where it ends.
Yeah,
I want
yeah.
to you mentioned Stanley Tucci, Devil Wears Prada. Great.
Mm.
That's a great segue into our next story. Meghan made impossible demands for 2022 Vogue cover. So I know that this was an important story that you missed. So sit back, put on your seatbelt, and get ready for this ride. Daily Mail reported last week that Meghan and former British Vogue editor Edward Enninful had plans for a UK Vogue September 2022 issue that would include Markle's keynote appearance at the One Young World Summit in Manchester and involved extensive features across the magazine and its digital editions. Now, the publication also reported that Markle wanted the cover, the tangible cover or the physical cover, but Enninful had already booked someone for it, causing Meghan to pull the plug and causing a falling out between the former friends. Here's the latest update. A source told Page Six Meghan wanted a global cover because she wanted to appear not only on the UK cover, but the US Vogue cover simultaneously. She had another long list of demands, asked for control of the photographer, control of the writer, final edit, photos, cover lines, and again, wanted the global issues. They said Meghan set up a Zoom call with Anna Wintour. Anna wasn't interested, says the source, adding the US magazine already had its own star, Meghan's friend Serena Williams. So Meghan trying to bump her girlfriend off the cover. And while Meghan was not in the running, the source tells us Meghan asked for a Zoom with her to reconsider, and Anna did it to be polite. There are also stories circulating today that Anna found Meghan to be a micromanager and has banned her because of this micromanaging. Um, does that surprise you at all when it comes to, well, first of all, does no one is saying the Queen leading up to this? We know the Queen is not great. We're hearing mobility issues. She's pulling out of event after event during the Jubilee. We're hearing the term mobility issues. We know she's looking so frail in that picture with Liz Truss. We know that she's not doing great. Does it surprise you at all that Meghan is scheming in the background, trying to secure magazine covers, which she inevitably got? She got the cut and she got Variety.
No, not at all. She is very demanding when it comes to photographic issues. But this is, if you're taking on the queen of, the fashion industry in Anna Wintour, I mean, you've got to have, Anna Wintour does not suffer fools at all. And she will not be bullied, harassed, bossed by anyone. So it doesn't surprise me at all. I do, I'm not going to go into specifics, but I'm fully aware that there's history in this department. If she doesn't like the photographs coming in, she might easily say, I need them shot again at great cost. So this is no surprise, this kind of control freakery, and almost sort of in some cases, just being ridiculously stupid and not thinking and actually being wrong. And for Anna Wintour, play the long game with Anna.
Like
Okay, Anna.
Kim Kardashian did. Look at her.
Yeah.
She's been rewarded.
Just say, okay, not this time. What was the pressing need? Okay, they're launching everything and then trying to create.
Rupert, they weren't. That's my argument. They weren't. She was launching archetypes. That was it. She was launching a new podcast, a podcast that performed so poorly. It was canceled
Yeah.
after one season. Like that's what kills me is what was the urgency? The September issue is the biggest issue of the year for Vogue. What have you done? Serena Williams, I think, was retiring. What were you doing, Stump, that would trump Serena Williams, one of the greatest athletes of all time, on the cover of Vogue, celebrating an incredible career?
And Serena Williams has every right. I know, and she's could have gone into the fashion industry. Perfect. Serena Williams, icon. I've commentated on and watched her. She was a phenom on the court. I mean, she was, transformed the women's game. No two ways about it. So she is an icon. Of course, she's in that first podcast series, and I keep referring to it. I wanted to know, that was the perfect opportunity to Meghan to get something that would have given her a really good reputation by actually saying, right, Serena, we're going to talk about everything. We're going to be a proper, I'm not saying she's going to do the David Frost type interview, you know what I mean? But let's just talk about, the hardness of what it was like when you were growing up and then going through all the various stages, the difficulties. What was the relationship like with your father as coach and all these things, which would, dynamite, and how she, people would line up against her and just sort of wilt. Except for a friend of mine who I work with at Wimbledon, Jill Crabus, who's about 5'5", did manage to beat Serena Williams in the third round, which is basically, David, it was an extraordinary achievement from my friend Jill. But she did manage to beat her. But, more often than not, Serena Williams went on the court and she bludgeoned her opponents into defeat. But that was a great opportunity for Meghan to tell the story. And yet there she is going after Anna Wintour, who's, I not say, about Devil Wears Prada. It's sort of based on her. The Meryl Streep character is sort of loosely based on her and her sort of, the eye, the sunglasses, the hair. It's all there's a sort of allure about her. Don't take her on. Say, okay, Anna, understood, but can we look at how we might going forward? Because obviously, she does attract a degree of interest. I'm sure something could have been done, but you do not rattle Anna's cage. And as a result, Vogue is, Variety. Is that a big deal? What would be better for your career, Vogue or Variety? Over to you on that one, because I don't read either.
I think Vogue was the ultimate goal. I think that you want Vogue. I think you want Vogue. Now, Meghan's team dismisses it, saying she could have had a Vogue cover, but she chose to guest edit instead. But I think she was at a place where she was still trying to prove herself of value within the British royal family when she did the guest edit. And that was overcompensate. That was a little bit of insecurity and overcompensating when she did that. But I do think that she had something to prove around September of 2022. And the universe humbled her so quickly with the death of Queen Elizabeth, because it was just days before Queen Elizabeth died that Meghan was on the stage at the One Young World Summit, whatever, gloating with her trophy in her hand. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe at the time there were reports circulating that it during that September 2022 trip, the Queen had asked Harry and Meghan if they would like to visit with her, and they rejected that invitation. And we felt like at the time this was a real defiance because she was there to accept a trophy. She was loving this positive press. I remember the People magazine article was like, Meghan Markle has full circle moment at one young whatever
Mm.
summit.
Yeah.
Then the Queen passes away, and it's shocking.
Well, wasn't there that picture of all her great grandchildren, and other grandchildren from Balmoral? And it's the one notable absentee, or the big absentee, is the lack of Harry and Meghan's children there.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have been the perfect opportunity, knowing that in his case, his grandmother is, clearly, in the latter stages of her life. We all knew that it was going to happen sooner rather than later at that time, even after all the problems with the Jubilee, only managing to make bookending it with a start and finish. But it was how tough it was. But got to think of other people, and that is not something that Meghan and Harry do very easily, and actually put themselves and actually reach out. Because if they start to do that, then you never know. Then the PR might start to change around, but there's no hint of that, and that all around there is Meghan want to say, "Look how wonderful I am." you know, the royal family does not miss me. I'm the superstar. And that
Yeah.
was what that was about then. And that's why she wanted that Anna Wintour Vogue on a global scale, because that would almost be a metaphorical two fingers to the royal family and say, look at me. I'm on the biggest fashion magazine. That's how important I am to fashion and everything. It's all about me. Anna Wintour was having none of that, and that's why she didn't get away. And it's unlikely to happen unless there is a complete about turn from Vogue in the future. And never say never, it might happen, but right now, it's unlikely to.
Yeah, I feel like there needs to be some sort of come to Jesus before that happens. Now, Enninful is no longer with Vogue UK, so
Hmm.
I just don't. I think Harry and Meghan's popularity in the UK is such that that won't happen for her. But when it comes to Anna Wintour, she loves King Charles and Queen Camilla. She loved Queen Elizabeth. I think she wants to stay on the winning team here and have access to actual working members of the British royal family.
And let's be honest, the Princess of Wales is a fashion icon. I know the Kensington Palace are trying to play down and say there's more to her than her fashion. But when she turns up in something, I mean, whatever she was wearing last night, they don't want to necessarily always put out what the designs are. But we know that she is, and you can't. She's actually got to accept it because actually it's huge for the industry. I think didn't she wear a posh
Victoria
spice
Beckham suit. Yes, yeah, Victoria Beckham.
somewhere, and that probably was a great boost to the Victoria Beckham line. Just whatever she wears, she creates. She is a fashion icon, and that's why Anna Wintour is probably sticking to that. And it quite interesting that that where she knows her loyalty needs to lie, and that is with the British royal family. And she knows, and she's too clever when she can see people when people are damaged goods.
Right.
And let's be honest, from her PR perspective, Meghan and Harry aren't bringing quite what they need for Vogue necessarily to the party. Serena Williams definitely does, and other people who grace that cover probably have got some significant PR positivity about them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be putting them there. Or, going for the real bad boy sort of or bad girl image, on front, which goes on. But I'm spend most of my time covering sports, so I'm slightly out of my league here, Kinsey, but I hope I haven't put my foot in it by talking about fashion. But anyway, there we go.
Yeah, your Anna Wintour coverage was exquisite. So, do you think that there's a chance that the team of 11, Harry and Meghan's dream team, I refuse to refer to them as a royal court, and it's probably pretty offensive
Yeah,
to the dream team that I'd even refer to them
yeah.
as that, the OJ Simpson dream team that I'd refer to them as that. Do you think that there's any way that they can rehabilitate this image that Harry and Meghan have managed to, I think, due to their own actions, this I don't want to say it's a myth that's been cultivated about them because I think it's pretty accurate. I don't think that they're nice, and I think they seem pretty lost and desperate.
Well, they've got to start listening to people, but they haven't got family around to give them, some sensible
Sound
advice,
advice, yeah.
sound advice, and so they're only sort of tending to get from sycophants.
Mm,
So what do you get? And unless these people who are on their payroll have got the chutzpah to go to them and say, right, you want a rebrand, start listening to me. You've brought me in here. I'm not here just to make up numbers. And that's going to be a test for both sides. And it would be particularly a test for the people who are coming in. Because normally, if they're strong-minded individuals, they've got to fight fire with fire. And if they're saying, right, you've employed me to sort your life out in a positive way, then please listen to me and give me a chance to prove myself. Now, in a year's time, if things haven't improved, then give me the tin tack, right?
yeah.
But give me time. And
Tough love.
that's what's got
They need a little
tough love. They need some serious tough love. And but they've got to listen. But not just, oh yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. Megan's got to start eating some humble pie, um, or whatever she's making tonight for dinner, and sprinkle that humble pie with a lot of those flour sprinkles, and start realizing there may be one or two other people who could help you here. And no cause is a lost cause, right? If you look at where Queen Camilla has come to, you've got to play the long game. Unfortunately, Meghan and Harry don't know how to play the long game. And, all these Instagram posts that are coming out from Meghan at the moment just make me want to. I mean, they are exactly, your facial expression says it all. And all these back shots of the children. I mean, give me a break.
yeah.
I didn't I see one with one of them going into the bees. I mentioned that I've been gardening. I've got gardening hands today. They live in Montecito. I do not think Megan spends 6 hours in the gardening weeding her vegetable patch.
Not like you, Rupert. No, you're the real OG. You mentioned Camilla. I just did an interview with Joan Rivers' daughter, Melissa Rivers, and Joan used
Oh,
to be.
oh, my goodness me, you've gone there with a clanging name drop there.
No, but my point is, Joan Rivers used to be so vicious towards Queen Camilla. She was the Duchess of
Yeah.
Cornwall at the time, and they became dear, dear friends to the point where Joan was going on Larry King Live, defending Queen Camilla and King Charles when they were married and saying, look, Harry and William love her. Look at them decorating the car. Like she really went all out to defend them. And so you're right. There can be a real shift in public perception. But Queen Camilla, she did the right thing. She stepped back and she let everything die down. And Meghan is in our face, whether it's
Oh,
B videos, whether it's podcasts. She is relentless right now. And that's one of the reasons why the critics aren't dying down. Whereas Queen Camilla said, I don't need this. I'm just going to go
hmm.
quietly do my job. I'm going to go quietly love on my family and support my husband. And ultimately, she did start picking up on causes that were really meaningful to her. Word of mouth was that this was a great woman who had a fun sense of humor and was the perfect fit for King Charles. And I think that word of mouth I know that Harry says there was a whole PR campaign, but I do believe that ultimately it was word of mouth, like people like Joan Rivers, who was a fierce critic, actually getting to know them and falling in love with them, and then going on TV and defending them. Harry and Meghan need to go away for a little while.
You're not wrong there. They do, and actually learn to shut up, and stop. Megan, have you got anything else to say? I mean, haven't you talked out? I mean, everything's about you, and you're always turning it around. I'm the best mum. Of course, she can afford to be the best mum. Is she working? morning, noon, and night. Most people, married couples or couples, well, whoever, you then drop your children. You probably got other things. You go off and work your 9 to 5. You come home. You've then got to deal with screaming children who've had a bad day at school. You've got to take them to a sports event or something. Ballet lessons. You name it, out there. 100 miles an hour. Trying to juggle lives. Meghan's life is nothing like, and this is what I think annoys people because she's living in a fantasy world. And okay, yes, we all want to be aspirational, but do we want to live like that? No. When you know that there's masses of people in the garden, in the house, clearing up, doing everything. And okay, yes, she might walk into the kitchen and say, I'm rustling up a bit of pasta for the family, but have a family meal time. Yes, fine. But let's be honest, that she's not living anyway like the most rest of us. So I'm sometimes I wish Meghan didn't live in my head so much, because but obviously when we talk about these programs, clearly we analyze, but it is always quite nice to actually go back to what I introduce the program as I'm here with all the news on the Prince and Princess of Wales.
Oh,
But
okay. I thought you were going to
inevitably,
say gardening.
well, I can give you some gardening advice. What's my summary tip this year? I don't know, but I'm hoping my black tomatoes will be good and my courgettes will be very successful. But there we go.
Will
And
you
my
bring me some
strawberries are
jam when I see you this month? Will you bring me some?
well, no, well, I haven't. No, my red currants won't be ready in time for me to make jam. But I don't know. If I send you one, there'll probably be 100% tariff on them when they come to your country anyway. So I won't be sending you a red currant jelly.
All right.
I
Agree with
may
it. Go
I shouldn't laugh at my own jokes, but anyway, there we
You
go.
should. You should. They're good. Okay. Agree with us, disagree with us. Let us know in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend. Rupert, thanks so much. We missed you and we're glad you're back. And thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm Kinsey Schofield.